The kisses. The kisses. Hello beautiful people, my name is Bridget and welcome back to my channel, and this is Orion. So today's video is going to be my favorite palettes of 2019. So today we're going to talk about eyeshadow palettes that were my favorite this year. I'm going to talk about things that I didn't just get, things that I've had for at least a month this year, and things I've been really enjoying. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to today's video. Alright guys, before we get started, all makeup on this channel is cruelty free, so are the palettes I'm talking about in today's video. And also, I got a new tattoo. Again, I got a rose. It looks like crap because it's like drying out and stuff. But like these holiday specials on tattoos, I can't. So I have a rose now. It's weird having one colorful tattoo, but like it's really pretty. So regardless, let's go ahead and get started with palettes. Let's start with Jeffree Star because that's a brand I talk about a lot on my channel. So firstly, we're gonna swoosh by this real fast. The Conspiracy palette by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Is it 100% the best formula I've ever tried in my entire life? No, but for Jeffree Star quality, it is still really good. I think his palettes have improved this year a lot. Ever since Blood Sugar came out, his palette's been good ever since. I feel like Androgyny still is just a really disappointing palette to me. I said that when it first came out too, but ever since Blood Sugar, his palettes have just been getting better. So Conspiracy palette with Shane Dawson, which was like a huge moment this year. It's lovely. I use the top row all the time. I need to get more use out of the rest of the colors, but to me the top row, the silver, the orange are the ones I use the most. Next up, the other Jeffree Star palette I picked for the year is going to be the Blue Blood palette because I like this a lot more than Jawbreaker. Jawbreaker is cute and fun and it's big and everything and it's very expensive, but at the same time, this is the color scheme I'd reach for more. I feel like Jawbreaker is beautiful, the formula is beautiful, I love the quality of that palette. However, I never reach for it because the colors don't seem cohesive to me, so I picked Blue Blood because I've used this actually a ton. Like I had a hard time putting it down when I first bought it. So Blue Blood, I haven't used it in probably like a month or two, but when I first got it, it's still hard to open. I was like in love and I love the quality. There's only two shades in here, which I believe are these two that don't come off the exact same color on your eyes as they are in the pan, but it has my favorite inner corner highlight of all time, which is Cullinan. So this is the Blue Blood palette. I feel like we haven't seen this in a minute. I feel like people haven't been showing this off on their channels in a minute. I haven't seen this in anyone's video for a while, but Blue Blood palette is so good. I love blue eyeshadow. I don't care if people think it's tacky. Blue eyeshadow is everything, and like if you want to have like a cool like campy little moment, that's what I'll reach for this palette for the most. I like blue eyeshadow. I used to wear blue eyeshadow with purple hair and a bright pink lip, and I don't know what I was doing with my life at that point, but now if I wear like a blue eyeshadow, I might either do a really dark lip or like a nude, because I don't know why I was wearing hot pink lips with a blue. It was a thing. But now blue eyeshadow is a lot more tolerable on me. I look a little bit less crazy, but it's super fun. Also, I did not like this packaging at first because it's so big and bulky, right? But with all the rest of the Jeffree Star palette starting to look like this little train casey thing, just kind of stack them together at this point. But I do like that it looks like a coffin because that's kind of cool. Next up is a palette that did not come out in 2019. However, I started using it in 2019 and I'm having a hard time putting it down. I've been recently reaching for the Colourpop Bare Necessities palette over this one just to stop using it so much. But it is the Tartelette in Bloom palette. I love this freaking palette. So at first I was looking at it and I wanted it because everyone hits pan on this palette. Like in everyone's collection videos, this is like the most used palette it seems like. And I was like, oh, I probably wouldn't use it. It's so boring. I have neutrals. Guys, I didn't have these neutrals. And I might. But just together, these are just beautiful. It's perfect. I love this palette so freaking much. Can we tell how much of a dent I've made in some of these shadows? Probably not. Honestly, though, like, I put a hurting on these three right here the most, probably. And then I'm putting a pretty good hurting in these two shades as well. I don't really use these two rows as much. But I love this palette. It is the perfect neutral palette. If you don't want to worry about thinking about what you're going to do with your eyeshadow that day, this takes me like 2 seconds to do, one brush and a finger, perfect eyeshadow look. I love it very much. I love this palette. It was so worth the money. I bought it off Poshmark brand new, but I totally, like, these go on sale 40% off in Ulta and Sephora all the time. I would totally buy one full price because I've used it so much. A lot. I probably use this more than most of the palettes in my collection, even things that I've had for longer, just because I have a hard time putting this thing down. It's just so easy. Next up are the Kaleidos Futurism palettes. Now, my favorite one is the Sci-Fi Green. I need to buy a replacement. Mine broke. It was a very sad time. Like, it was so broken I couldn't repair it. Like, I had to go in the trash. But this is my second favorite one. I need another Sci-Fi Green. Like, I'm depressed I don't have that because I've really been into green eyeshadows lately. But this is the Futurism 3 Astro Pink. The packaging on this little marbly thingy is so cute. My camera doesn't want to focus these days. Can we focus? There you go. But this one is just so cute. So here's the palette. It's like a little trifold cute thing. This has beautiful neutrals in here, and the metallic-y shades for these palettes are just so beautiful. Let's swatch these two, which is the black matte sparkly shade, and then this, like, it's a metallic-y blue purple shift, so we can't tell if this is actually blue. It looks blue on camera. In person it looks way more purple. Like, when you hit the light it's purple. So if I swatch these for you, it swatches more purple too. This is what they swatch like, even though I just went over my hand like that. It looks like crap, but the swatches don't even do it justice. And this is so purple in person. Oh, you can see it's purple. It's very purple. And then you see it in light and it's very blue. But I tell you, like, in person it's a beautiful duochrome. These swatch beautifully. Honestly, you guys have tried these palettes from my recommendations. Always tell me how much you love them. I'm so happy. I love the big fat, like the big original Deep Sea palette by Kaleidos too. But these are just super convenient, and they have little cute color stories that are not overwhelming because there are still 2 neutrals in this palette. It's not all colorful stuff. I feel like these are very wearable, and then if you have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, you can just throw on a pop of something else without reaching into a different palette. So I love these. The quality is so good. The packaging is amazing. It's perfect. I love these a lot. Next up, let's talk about another indie brand. So this is Alter Ego, and I chose their Goddess palette. Oh, it's just like a black cover, but then you see the light and you're like, oh, there's a pretty design. But the Goddess palette is my most used Alter Ego palette. I really like the Sahara too. Like, they have great palettes. Like, all their palettes I really recommend. I do have an affiliate code with them if you want to, like, buy some Alter Ego stuff. They're really affordable. They usually dupe products that are like Natasha Denona and really expensive things. They're so good. They're so good. Like, this is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Gold palette, but I can't afford that palette, the Natasha Denona palette. And then they say the Natasha Denona formula, like, you have to, like, learn how to use it properly. I'd much rather reach into a palette like this where it's a it's a regular eyeshadow palette formula, but really good and really cheap. So this is what this one looks like. My most used shades are probably Cassandra. I'm sorry, this palette's kind of dirty looking, which looks like this. And then I really like the shade Valkyrie too. It's a little bit more greeny gold, and I'm not used to using that color as much, but these just have a beautiful, really cool gold green shift to them. There's something about these golds in this palette which are a little bit different, because when you put it on the eye it doesn't look the same every single time, which I like, because sometimes it pulls more gold depending on what you have around it, and sometimes it pulls more like green. So there's something about this palette in particular I really enjoy, because the shimmers in here are just stunning. The mattes blend out really easily too, and they're very pigmented. I would be careful going into the darker shades because they are so pigmented. But honestly, this is just a really good palette, and if you like more of a cooler color scheme but don't want to pay for Natasha Denona fancy price, this is still a really good, really nice palette. Next up, let's talk about the other Tarte palette. I should have done this with the other one, but this is the Tarte Through My Eyes Tartelette Unleashed palette, Tarte Unleashed palette. This is Young, Wild, Cruelty-Free on the front. It's got one of those scratchy covers because it's like, does that thing, I guess. But this is the Tarte Unleashed palette. I like this one a lot. I had such regret buying it when I first bought it. I was like, I don't need another palette, but I did. So this is the palette. I've used it a bunch. I actually forced myself to use it so I would, like, not feel guilty about buying a palette I didn't need. But I really like the quality of this palette. Like, this top row, again, is the row I use the most, and then I'll throw on, like, a shimmer on the lid as well. But usually I like these kind of, like, really neutrally, kind of cooly, kind of pink shades. I used mostly the oranges and the pinky shades out of this palette the most. But it is still really pretty. I quite enjoy it. It has, like, that beautiful Tarte smell. Like, I love the way Tarte palettes smell. They smell so good. So Tarte Unleashed palette, definitely a good purchase. I think it was $35 with like a mini mascara. The mini mascara was garbage, but the palette's so good. I love it. I really was like, I don't need this, but I bought it anyways because I couldn't stop looking at it, and now I'm really glad that I have it in my collection. Next up is Colourpop. You can't eat plants. You can't eat plants. Next up is Colourpop. You're gonna help me do this so you don't eat plants. But this is the Through My Eyes palette. We talked about this in my favorite products of the year. This came out in January, I believe, which is when I could find the oldest review for it, because I don't know the date this came out. But I love this palette. I put off buying it at first release because I knew I didn't need it in my life. But I love it dearly. I love the yellow shades in here. Mostly the shade I've dipped into the most in this palette are probably Nostalgia, Sandalwood, and then this shade right here, which is Lucido. I love like the standard neutrals in here and then adding a little bit of yellow, which is like my go-to look, you guys. Like a neutral look would pop a little bit of yellow in there. I love. So I absolutely adore this palette. I've used it so much. I don't really dip into like the darker shades in here or the blues because I feel like this blue matte is not my favorite in the world. But overall the color scheme is just so pretty. It's a bigger palette for Colourpop, but it's not like a big fat Morphe palette, you know, and it still has a really good size mirror in here. So if you were trying to go like you take this on like a week's vacation, you can still do neutrals, you can still do fun looks. I feel like it's a really versatile palette and it's still travel friendly because it's not too giant. So I really think this is a nice all-in-one palette and the quality is just so good. And I do have a Colourpop code. It's 5Bridget if you want to save $5. I don't get any money from it. It's just a code for y'all. But I like saying it because $5 is a good coupon. Next up is the Colourpop Honey palettes. I was so excited to see an all yellow palette. This came out the same time as the Lemonade palette from Midas Cosmetics and I bought both of them. But I find myself using this one more because it's easier to get because Colourpop is everywhere. And I just kind of like the color scheme more even though there is a pressed glitter. I don't like pressed glitters. Part of me like wants to get into glitters because they look so freaking good on camera. But at the end of the day, I don't want to get glitter off my face all day. So I don't know if it's worth it. Sometimes I think about I could just take my eyelashes off and put tape on my eye and remove the glitter that way. That could be an option, but I just hate the removal at the end of the day. But it looks so good. So I don't know how I feel about glitter right now. I'm not a fan of pressed glitters at the moment, but I want to try more glitter. I don't know. But this is the Honey palette. It's an all yellow palette. I do wish there was a little bit more of like, we could get rid of one of these shimmers to come off pretty similar on the eyes and get more of like a golden yellow hue to it, more like a gold hue. But overall I'm just happy to have an all yellow palette that is $12, really affordable, super cute, compact. The Honey title does confuse me, like Honey is not the easiest thing in the world for me to say for some reason, but I love the palette. I love yellows. I don't find that the Sweet Spot shade is like the most long wearing yellow in the world. I do have some yellows in my collection that do wear longer on the eyes, but it's still a really good affordable palette. And for $12, all yellows, if you're scared of yellow eyeshadow, this is a really good way to just incorporate it into your life. And we're going to talk about yellow eyeshadow all the way into 2020 because I'm not over it yet, I tell you. And lastly, the prettiest aesthetics of a palette that I own. And this is the Moonspell palette by Lunar Beauty. I'm wearing my eyes today, just for this little pink moment because I don't really do pink that much on my eyes. Can we look? Look, it's got like a book binding. It's like a spell book. Look at the little fake thing. The hand, I love hands. I don't know. It's just so beautiful. It's got little gold pages like a book. And then the color story on the inside with this big mirror. This is it. Look how pretty. I can't get over this palette. I wish there was a light like cream matte shade in here to set my lid with. Because I love those stupid little white or off-white creamy champagne-y shades to set my lid primer with. But I don't care. I still love this palette. This is just so beautiful. It has greens in here. I wish there was like a yellow, but you know, not everything can have a yellow. It's okay. I don't even like purple eyeshadow or pink eyeshadow that much, but this palette is just so beautiful. It really inspires me to use colors that I wouldn't normally use in my life. This is just so good. Even just using these for like a neutral look. So good. So good. This mossy green shade. Oh, let's do the shade Prue too while we're at it. So these are two shades from the palette. And I love them dearly. Prue isn't the most opaque in the world, but you put it over something light on your lid, it's just so beautiful. It transforms any look. Honestly, you take the deep dark green shade and then this like green mossy shade on the lid, it is a beautiful like witchy moment. I absolutely adore this palette. The aesthetics kind of just kill me, honestly. And I'm super grateful that my man bought me this for a Christmas gift and gave it to me early because I've been dying for this. And Lunar Beauty has Afterpay. I love this palette so much that I went and I bought one of their like little prism eyeshadow, no, the prism highlighters, and then I bought their Greek Goddess eyeshadow palette, which I've really been loving. But honestly, this is just like the product of the year for me as far as aesthetics. My favorite palette of the year though is probably the Tartelette in Bloom. As boring as that sounds, but I just use it so much. and then probably this one. Just because it's just so stunning, I can't get over it. I put it in the drawer with my other palettes because it looks really good next to Goddess, next to each other in the drawer. But I just want this to be like a beautiful display piece. Like on my shelf above me, I have the sleeve for the palette because I just don't want to put it away. It's beautiful. I will never throw the sleeve of this palette away. And I'm not someone who keeps boxes of palettes. But it's so good. I can't handle it. I love it so much. It's so good. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. I'd appreciate it greatly. And please let me know your favorite palette of the year in the comment section down below. I'd really love to hear it. Some people don't tell me, like, their favorite things of the year, but I really want to know because, like, everyone has such a different taste. Maybe you don't like some of these palettes that I tried and I love. Maybe you do. I don't know, but I just want to know your favorite thing, your favorite palette down below. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.